For the waist, the HIYA obviously has one singular ball joint that allows for some decent motion. Mine's still stiff because, again, it is a newer figure. I just got this thing like less than a week ago. While the MonsterArts features dual joints here and here that allows for some pretty good range of motion. Not much of a swivel, because if you try and swivel that thing, it'll actually pop itself out of socket and you'll end up with a bust Godzilla. But overall, I think that the two joints really work together well. For the hips, the HIYA actually does feature kind of like a similar style that NECA did with their Godzillas, where it was inside the socket, right? And it was just one pure piece that kind of like connected on a barbell style joint, so you can kind of slide it in and out of place, which honestly really helps with like the gaps. And especially because like that, if that was not closed off, guaranteed that would have been, that sucked. While the S.H. MonsterArts actually kind of does this, a similar quote unquote thing, but I think it's like much different because the figure itself is kind of more hollow with figured out extensions for the joints. So as a result, they got to close it up with some leg cartilage, and if you pull it back just far enough, you'll end up seeing the gaps. But as for the kind of Godzilla Grundle inside, it's done really well. And as for the knees on both figures are double jointed. And as for the range, again, hard to tell because it's a bend at the knee. You know, you're not expecting too much range. Same thing with here at the MonsterArts, kind of get a little twist and spin. And the HIYA features a ball jointed foot that allows for a good rotation and a mild pivot, nothing too crazy. While the MonsterArts, again, features actually two joints, one at the calf, shin type area, and the other one at the actual foot. So you can kind of go back and forth there as you please. Next is the tail, and the HIYA features 9 ball joints that go all the way from the base to the tip of the tail, which allows for some really good movement. Down and up. Down is more than up is, because this is about as high as you can get the tail comfortably, unless you're going to rotate like part of it and then kind of start rotating like that. But comfortably, side to side is where you're really going to get the juice. And the MonsterArts can go up, but it doesn't really tend to hold its pose that well. I mean, you kind of get it to hold its pose. For the most part, you can kind of like segment it. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too bad. And and of course, it loves to pop off. So that's a bit of an issue right there. So overall, who wins the point in articulation? While both figures do feature a lot of the same movement in a lot of areas, and I will say in terms of range, they are comparable, but I find more range and more points of articulation on the MonsterArts than the HIYA toys. Because, for example, HIYA doesn't have the foot mobility that the MonsterArts does, and the tail can actually kind of go up while the HIYA's does not. And, you know, for a creature that's going to be tail swiping a 500 plus foot tall Hydra, aka Ghidorah, I want to get that figure someday, it's going to be hard for him to do so if he can't have the mobility, so the MonsterArts wins the point in articulation. Next is the round for size. And I know I've said this again and again in my NECAs and Playmates comparison videos, but the thing for size is that people are going to be wanting a 6-inch shoulder-to-shoulder, all-in-scale figure. It is true that the MonsterVerse Godzilla is the tallest live-action Godzilla to date, but if you are going to follow with scale on that, by that logic, all Showa-era Godzillas you are going to buy are going to be in this scale right above his waist, or right to his waist. So don't give me that whole scale garbage, because people want a 6 to 6-inch scale figure. Shin Godzilla from the MonsterArts line completely blew that away, and I think it's now the tallest Godzilla figure they've released as far as Godzilla himself goes, with the exception of the Kokyo Kyoku line, but that's like a spin-off of the spin-off line. Yes, the MonsterArts is a spin-off of the Figuarts line. With that being said, the MonsterArts 2019 keeps tradition and keeps him in scale with all the other 6-inch Godzilla figures. If you really need a good comparison, again, from the last video, here's the NECA Godzilla NES. And even though it's rather debatable if these two are even in scale, because we don't actually have an official canon height for the official NES Godzilla, they're in scale with each other. The HIYA Toys is a bit on the larger side. And I pretty much gave the argument that it's like in the 7-8 inch scale, which would rival that of the NECA Kong and its other figures in said NECA Ultimates line. That being said, I still got to give this point to MonsterArts for that specific reason. Even though it looks like the two are just barely in terms of overall height, he's actually like way taller. Like, here, let me give a good. Ow. Okay, never mind. He doesn't want me to. He just bit me. So, you know what? Point still stands is that, well, just like that, he's just a bit too big. For the average consumer who wants a 6-inch Godzilla, and only a 6-inch Godzilla, this is going to be your best bet. He's just a bit too large. So, point goes to the MonsterArts. Next, for round 4, we're going to take a look at accessories. And when you're the Spitfire Godzilla, you're going to get a lot of good accessories, right? Let's hold the phone on that. First of all, the HIYA comes with the signature atomic breath and an alternate head to obviously, put in said atomic breath. You just put it in like this, and you're all good to go. It also comes with an alternate neck piece to carry said atomic breath. Now, I made a bit of an error. Last time I said that this head would not work well on this one, and I even showcased it, but I was wrong. It turns out that you can do it, it's just going to look a little odd. At least my own personal thoughts. But this and this are meant to replicate his call to arms scene, or his rebirth scene, as he fired his beam in King of the Monsters, or he dove underneath the aircraft carrier to shoot away Kongs on the aircraft carrier. And I'm not going to demonstrate on camera, because that'd be like the bajillion time I did that. But basically, you just take off these. These are 3 separate pieces, and the head, and you're going to put this on, and then you're going to put the head on, attach the atomic breath, and then he's just going to be looking straight up. He comes with alternate hands. That is it. How you put the hand on, rather simple. You just take off this hand, if it wants to wiggle out of there. Be right back. Okay, so I accidentally popped off the rod toy style peg and actually separated the 2 pieces, so thankfully they can just connect on back together. But basically you just take off this hand from the ball joint, not the peg, or the Hot Toy Styles peg, because there's 2 pegs in there, and you want to just stick this hand on. Thing is, this hand is the same exact ones we got with the MonsterArts, and they're the same exact hands, or position-wise, that would come on these ones. What kind of expressiveness does that give? These spread out hands should have been the accessories, but... And not to mention, he's glowing blue, he has a blue mouth, and he doesn't come with a heat ray, despite the fact that the other Godzillas from the Monsterverse have featured heat rays. The original 2019 wasn't even glowing blue fins. The poster color version also came with the beam. The Spitfire 2014, that also came with the beam, but this one, for Godzilla vs. Kong, one of the biggest movies of 2021, mind you, the movie that brought out the pandemic, blue fins, new paint scheme, and a blue mouth, and it doesn't even come with a beam. I don't know what it was with Bandai doing that, because they also did that twice with the 2001 Heat Ray Godzilla, and they also did that with the poster Noroshi 1993 Godzilla, which was just a repaint in 95 Rebirth, mind you. Now, the poster version, I can totally forget, because it is based on the poster, and he's glowing blue, but he's about to shoot the beam, so I can see why they didn't include that. Although they shouldn't have included a little bat blast thing. But 2001 and this, you don't give the accessory what they are. They have blue fins. You advertise the 2001 as the heat ray. Heat ray. Where's the heat ray? Oh, there's blue glow. You're pretending it. It's a make pretend thing. This is all we got. I think I'm done ranting. It's pretty much clear. The HIYA, obviously, despite the fact it actually comes with a beam, wins the point. And yeah, we're just going to move on.